Lemonaid, freshly brought to you by BlessVision Foundation. This episode is sponsored by Rotary Club of Chunwan. The views and opinions expressed in the following interview are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or position of BlessVision Foundation. Welcome to Lemonaid. Good evening, everyone. Tonight I have a very special guest with me, and her name is Vicki, and she is a clinical counselor and intern in Hong Kong Dignity Institute. Well, yes, she is a counselor, but interesting is before she working in an educational field for over 10 years. Hi, Vicki.
Hi.
Very gentle and lovely voice. And can you share with us what is the reason that you changed from your the education field where you teach over 10 years, right? And to change in a totally different field as a counselor. And what is that reason that you change?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on your show.
And
so to answer your question, I have been in education for over 10 years, and something that's always driven my passion and my practice has been the love for the kids as individuals, and knowing that every individual child comes with their individual needs, individual family backgrounds, situations, and a lot of times that comes from with a lot of individual hurts and pains as well from home sometimes, and understanding that because I do believe that the emotional, social emotional side of things is number one, is priority when teaching students, because it'll be really difficult for them to learn if those needs are not being met first.
So in those like over 10 years education experience, so that means you really see how the emotional side affecting the study and development of children. And that is the reason why you want to change the counselor.
Right. And so I just really feel that I have a passion for listening to people and to helping people towards building their wellness
from inside out.
From inside out. There's a lot of negativity in the world too, and there's a lot of mental illnesses that unfortunately people have developed and around the world and in every culture, and a lot of the struggles come from within and come from their childhood and
the hurts
and the traumas that they experience as children.
So I think I agree with you. So we need to to fix or at least the wounds, to recognize that, and then we can slowly back into a good development mode, right? Yeah. And I know that you see a lot of people facing emotional struggles. How about yourself? I mean, usually, because the reason I'm asking is usually when my friends, quite a lot of my friends, they change to counselor, and also because they experience something and they realize the importance in the well-being of emotion, that's why they change their field. Is that also same as you? Because do you face any emotional struggles when you were when you grow up?
Yeah, so growing up wasn't easy for me. I was born and I grew up in Toronto, in Canada, and being a minority, I didn't feel like I fit in with my peers. And in addition to that, within the household, my parents argued a lot. And in addition to that, my mother also developed breast cancer when I was 4 years old. And so during that time, throughout the years, I had to deal with whatever was going on at home, but at the same time not be able to talk about it to anybody because everyone else seemed like they were having the perfect family life, and also, I mean, culturally, my parents always told me not to tell anybody about what was going on at home. So starting from when I was 4 years old, I just had to keep everything to myself and put on a smiling face when I went to school, and that stuck with me until my mom passed away when I was 18. So for 14 years of my life, at home, I had so many struggles, but I couldn't tell anybody about it.
Wow, that 14 years, you've been trying to hide your emotion inside. How do you describe those years? And if looking back from now, how can you do that? I mean, when a 4-year-old children, she realized that her mother had the breast cancer is already very hard things. How you describe those years? How you went through those?
It was difficult. There are a lot of tears, and a lot of it was just trying to press on, and wishing and hoping that I had something to save me and to push on, and just I just kept on going.
And for you saying you're just trying to kept on, who you will share? So nobody will share. So how you release your emotion when you grow up in that age? What do you do?
I think it was really only till as a kid, you don't know, right?
Yeah,
you don't know.
You don't know anything.
Don't know.
Yes, actually.
And so, just pressing on, and for some reason, I just always had a feeling of something to just keep me going. I didn't really know what it was. I just felt like I had to be strong for my mom, and I had to be strong. And that was the message that I always just felt, like I had to be strong. So I always had to put on a face where, outside of the family, like, things are fine. And inside the family, like, things are fine. Like, I didn't even want to cry in front of my mom because I didn't want her to be sad.
Yes.
That I'm sad. And so I just always felt like I had to continue on and be strong. And until I was 18, that's when my mother passed away. And I felt broken. And I just started university, and as a young adult, you are trying to find your own identity as it is, and I didn't know what to do.
And that is also a great change, because the big change is you have to enter into the university, and that is a change of environment as well, right? At the same year, you face the loss of your mother, and also you have to face the challenge into the university. So what happens that year?
So during that time, I was lost. I went to classes, but not really. I missed some, and I would just want to stay in bed, and I just felt, I honestly, like, thinking back, I do feel like I suffered depression. And at that time as well, I didn't seek help for it.
Yeah, and no way to seek him, because back on that time, the people to like the understanding on depression is not like today, right?
Right. And so I kind of just floundered and made my way through the first couple of months, and it was until I really found a church group, and I found and started learning more about God and His love for me and my plan, His plan for me, and that things happen for a reason. And it was also experiencing the love from people around me and building a community where I really felt loved. I guess maybe for the first time, and I was able to share my story with others. And that was my first time in my whole life. Yeah, to share about what my parents went through.
Over 14 years.
Yeah, growing up with my mother's sickness as a child from 4 years old.
Wow.
So it was definitely, that in itself was therapeutic for me.
Wow, I think that sharing, is it because that sharing, you're supposed to share usually, but you hold that feeling for 14 years. And that moment you share, what do you feel? Do you remember the feeling?
It was like just floodgates, like my
I can imagine that.
Tears wouldn't stop. It was it was just 14 years of build up emotion and things that I experienced, where I was able to just feel like I could trust somebody to be able to express myself.
You're so brave, actually, because you're also very brave to share at that moment. And what do you feel after that time sharing? So that you share a lot, and after what do you feel after that?
After that, I felt that I can continue on, and I felt like I had purpose, and I felt like I had that my life in a way is just beginning. Because by that point, I was near the end of my university, and I was also making my way over to overseas to be an international teacher. And so I felt a sense of relief, and I felt, that I was ready to just
take up the new
beginning. New beginning.
I think you said there's a sense of relief. So I think when you tears down at that moment, it's just releasing the 14 years burden, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely needed.
Yeah, it was just like, it was like all this weight off my shoulders that had just lifted.
Wow.
Where I didn't have to hide, I didn't have to hide my past from anybody, and just accept that that's who I am. And it's actually what I went through has made me to be the person that I am today. And that really also struck a chord with me, that all the struggles that I've been through has made me a stronger person to tackle going overseas, to tackle on a new chapter in my life.
Wow. So whatever happened in the past, whether it's tears, there's sadness, there's everything is a substance, and that substance forms the one who you are, right?
Right.
Turn the things into
something productive.
Productive.
Yeah, constructive to keep going.
Wow. I think it is a very, very an encouraging sharing. So yes, everyone who listening to this program, if you have something in your heart, just like Vicki, just find someone to share and let your tears come down. It is okay to cry, right?
It feels wonderful. This is so therapeutic.
You will love it. Find someone you trust.
Get a good cry.
Get a good cry. Now let us have a rest and then come back. We will have Vicki with us to share with us her amazing stories. Coming back again, we have Vicki. So, Vicki, I know last part you shared that, you have a new beginning after you have the big cry, okay? So, leave all the burdens. So, for the new beginning, what happened in your life?
So after going overseas, I actually worked in Macau for 4 years as an international school teacher. And after that, I moved to Hong Kong, and here I was an international school teacher for 8 years. And currently, I'm on maternity leave to take care of my baby, but also
a big job, a big project.
That is a massive job. That's a full-time job in itself. But also to complete my practicum with Hong Kong Dinty Institute. And so this year has been focusing on that.
I think that is, can I say that's a challenging too, because at the same time you came to Hong Kong, you adapted to the living environment, and then last year was a very serious COVID. You got pregnant, and you have to face your paper and the studies and become a mother. There are many things happening. So how's your experience last year when you got pregnant in the COVID? Well, what is the challenges in you? It's hard to say, right?
I just want to say, for moms right now, or if sisters or daughters or neighbors that are pregnant right now during COVID, it is really tough. It is, a time where you want to celebrate life. You want to celebrate your baby, essentially.
Yes.
And, for some people, it's not easy to become pregnant. It's,
definitely.
And so to finally be pregnant and to give birth, you really want to celebrate it with people.
Right.
But because of the situation, we're all in isolation. And
in a social distance.
In social distance and even in the hospital. So last year when I gave birth at a public hospital. Mm-hmm. And I had to stay there for 21 days.
By yourself?
All by myself without my husband, without any visitors.
Oh.
And I gave birth and I had to stay there because I suffered from preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure because of
So all by
baby.
Yourself?
And it was by myself.
Oh, nobody can come in, right?
No, nobody can come in.
My.
So I think that was one of the most toughest things I've ever
tough.
had to do, is to give birth by myself without anybody.
Wow.
there to support me.
Even you want to find someone to share his heart, right?
Yeah,
so nobody can aim, only
right.
you
Even
and yourself.
Someone to hold their hand or someone to yell at.
How do you went through that time?
I just kept thinking to myself, and I kept reminding myself of the things that I learned during my course, during my courses of counseling, and that, the understanding that any suffering will pass, even though it is hard at the moment. It will pass.
It's a tentative.
It's fleeing. So just like happiness, just like sadness, just like an emotion, just like pain, suffering. Although it's difficult in the moment, it will pass.
How do you help yourself in last year, that important time, being isolated, like social distance and facing a lot of change? How do you do? I know everyone may want to know what to do.
Yeah, so everybody is in their own situation, and it's tough for anybody.
Yeah.
And as human nature, we are social creatures. We want to be able to interact with others. We want to have a sense of belonging.
Right.
And to be isolated is something that's counterintuitive to human nature.
Yeah.
And so the way that I was able to get through that is to identify what are the things that, what were the thoughts that were in my mind. So being a new mother, I felt like I was just giving.
Yeah.
And, I didn't feel like myself. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
What is my identity?
Yeah.
And I have nobody, I have, I have my husband, but, I didn't
I know, inside you can feel like on my own.
Just everything you're just giving. And I guess understanding my thoughts and the negative thoughts around that, rather than thinking the negative thoughts and changing that to more helpful thoughts.
How to make that change?
Yeah, so first it was really being aware, because I do believe that thinking back that I was, and I actually identified during that time that I was suffering postpartum depression because things are just so tough, and I was just crying all the time, and I didn't feel that it was hard.
Yes, it was hard. It was really hard.
And just being able to identify and be aware, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking right now, and
to recognize
and share that with my husband, to be really honest about how I was thinking. Even sometimes like I didn't want to be with my baby, but then feeling guilty about that. Yeah. And, how can I be a mom that doesn't want to be with my baby? That is, so being aware of all those thoughts and writing it down really helped, and sharing it with my partner as well. And then thinking about what are some ways that would be productive or helpful in replacing those thoughts.
What do you usually use to replacing those thoughts?
So I would think, so for example, thinking instead of I'm here by myself, with my baby. But actually, I have support from my husband. I have support from friends. I have, I'm thankful that I have, a healthy, wonderful baby. And so just thinking of the ways that are helpful and productive and filling that with your mind helps to change your own behavior and your own emotions. And it's kind of like a cycle. So it's like for cognitive behavioral therapy.
So we have to look wide. So sometimes I know when we feeling sad is we focus on one point and that would be very negative.
Right.
So when at that point we have to remind ourselves, okay, wide angle.
Fish lines. Yeah.
Wide angle. And you will see the great will is around you.
Yes.
Right?
And when you're in that situation, a lot of times it's so difficult because you're in it.
Yeah.
So when you're able to talk to somebody, and that's the key thing, you need, the first step is to talk about it and to identify it, that you want to seek help.
Yeah.
And, for someone to guide you through that.
Right. And then I think that is very helpful, like for me as well. I think it's thank you so much. It's a hint for me. And what about the things you are doing now? So the baby's now how old is she?
She's 11 months.
Oh, so cute.
So fast. 1 year's gone by so fast.
And so what you are busy for now?
Yeah, so I'm currently at Hong Kong Dignity Institute, and I, honestly, before starting, I didn't know anything about the population that we work with. Yeah. So we work with, we help clients that are that are victims of human trafficking or asylum seekers, or people who are in, vulnerable populations. Yeah. And so we help them to find resources for their different needs. So, for example, like legal support, or so on my side, counseling support. What I think is important is just to seek help. And there's so much stigma around mental health. Like now, not so much, but still in certain cultures, certain societies, I feel like in Hong Kong, when someone says, I'm seeing a counselor, it's seen to be something very negative. Yeah. Where it's something that actually, like, everybody can benefit from counseling, right, no matter what place you are in your life. Because it's a safe space for you to be able to explore your thoughts and your feelings, and, a place for you to, experiment your skills, to tackle on traumas that you've never talked about to people, or, it's just a space for you to express yourself. I think that's really, really important.
Yes, non-judgmental talk is very crucial and important. When someone who can listening to you without judging you, right, and they try to understand you. So, so when someone really going through hard time and she has find someone to share, or sure, it would be great if you can find some counselor to share. Do not afraid to find them. And I believe that every counselor, therapist, they are ready and they are professional to help. Thank you so much, Vicki, for your time. And for everyone, if you also want to find someone to talk to, and you can call BlessVision Foundation at 2155-2707. 2155-2707. And maybe we're not picking up your call immediately, but please leave your voice message. Our volunteers, and we will call you back. So you are not alone. There are always ways to help. Thank you so much, Vicki.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Good night.